Nearly 3 years ago, Mary Pat and Tom Santulli got the devastating call that their son Danny was fighting for his life in the hospital following hazing incidents at the University of Missouri. Their son's story is now being shared in the A&E series House of Horrors: Secrets of Greek Life. The parents join me now to unpack it all. How are you both doing?
We're doing okay, as best as we can. It's been a journey, but
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being willing to share a little bit more today. So let's just start at the beginning. Were you guys initially ever hesitant to allow Danny to rush a fraternity at the University of Missouri?
I was, to be honest with you, I was never in a fraternity. I just didn't care about fraternities, But my oldest son went to the University of Missouri, Nick. He was in Pike, and he had a good experience. And our daughter, Meredith, also attended University of Missouri. She wasn't in a sorority, but she was there. And then Danny, we kind of wanted him to do his own thing, check out other schools. But at the end of the day, he decided on University of Missouri, and he did want to join a fraternity. And we knew people. We knew people in that fraternity. So we felt safe, I guess, or comfortable that, all right, this is the system, and we're going to move forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that stick out to me in this episode that you are featured in. One of them was how, it clearly stated in some rules or some kind of paper that you all had seen that the fraternity stated they do not haze, which obviously turned out to not be true. What did you think about that at the time, obviously kind of knowing how it all pans out now?
Yeah, they did send us an email just stating that they're an anti-hazing, university, and they take this very seriously. So actually, I felt pretty good about it. And since my son had a good experience, I just, thought that it was, going to be a good experience for Danny. And, why wouldn't I? I just didn't have any, I wasn't in Greek life myself, so I just didn't know much about it.
And the problem is we didn't know about their sanctions. And again, this is Fiji, who broadcast all over their website. They take hazing seriously. But there was a second sanction 13 days before the incident for Danny. Yeah. Second sanction, and they just ignored it.
Yeah, that's another thing that really stuck out to me was finding out after the fact that the fraternity had been on double probation, by the time your son had joined the fraternity. That's just, it's insane to me, honestly. So one of the parts that sticks out to me the most in this episode that was very emotional, had me crying, was the part where your daughter Meredith recalls walking into that ER and being the first one to Danny. My sister and I are very close, and we were in college at the same time, and all I could think about was if I was in that position or she was in that position, having me the first one to go in and kind of find out what's going on. So kind of walk me through, if you don't mind, kind of just those initial emotions of getting that call and then also having to actually go in and be like, okay, this really is our son and this really is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, getting a call at, 1:27 a.m. is never a good thing. And, it was the ER doctor calling me saying that, asking me first if I had a son at the University of Missouri, and I said yes. And she asked his name, and she said, well, we have him here in the emergency room, and he had stopped breathing. And, at that point, I'd stopped breathing myself. I was just in shock. I was hysterical. And she said it'd probably be a good idea for you to come here. So me and Tom and my son, Nick, who was living with us at the time, all got in the car and drove 7.5 hours, not knowing what to expect. You kind of think, okay, he's going to sleep it off. It's, he's going to be okay. But it was horrific, seeing my son hooked up these tubes and a respirator, and I just couldn't, he was all swollen. It was a nightmare. And it's just been a very, very long journey for our family.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And again, I'm so sorry that you guys had to deal with this. Two final questions for you. The first being, briefly, I'm just curious, it is one of the wildest things about this whole thing is seeing all the camera footage that was released and that these men still continue knowing there was cameras in the house that could have caught all this. So what was kind of the initial emotion seeing that camera footage and just kind of having everything confirmed that did happen to your son?
Well, a lot of people were saying, are you sure you want to see it? It's pretty horrific. It's pretty bad. And I said, we have to see it because people have to see, because it's not just like there was a party and Danny got drunk and passed out and almost died. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
So it was very, very critical that that video was shown across the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
that's what happened to Danny.
Yeah. Now, my final question for you, if there's anything to come out of this, it's that we don't want this to happen to any other students in college in the future, right? So any kind of advice that you all would share with either students or parents or guardians of students to be aware of as kind of college is picking back up and these new kids are coming into college and potentially joining Greek life?
Well, I just think it's important for these kids and the parents to do their research. If they're interested in joining any of these organizations, then they need to find out if there's been any previous violations. Talk to other students that are part of that fraternity or sorority or any type of organization. And if they feel they're not ready, then maybe just wait a semester. You can always join the second semester, which my older son did, and he felt that was a good idea because he was able to get to know other people in the fraternities, and just felt that these boys, he was more comfortable with. So I just think you have to, be open, keep the lines of communication open with your child, and just do your research.
Yeah, and be aware. Well, Tom and Mary Pat, thank you so much for being so open, sharing your son's story. It's been such a pleasure getting to speak with you. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. Their son's story will be shared next Monday on A&E. Check it out. Tom, Mary Pat, thank you.